Hello, this is Peter Stewart. Welcome to today's episode. I'm the author of several books on TV and radio presentation skills. Hence, I thought, let's pass on some of these ideas, the hints, the tips, the techniques and the tricks to help you get a better broadcast podcast and voice over voice in this series of short daily podcasts. Thank you for the loan of your ears today. We're talking about ad-libbing and some of the tricks to help you ad-lib with a little bit more certainty, be a little bit more assured of foot, and to be able to ad-lib, to talk extemporaneously off the top of your head and off the cuff. Isn't that interesting? Off the top of your head and off the cuff as well. Two different parts of the body. Interesting. Okay. I'm suggesting that you may want to use bullet points, and you're probably thinking to yourself, yeah, I know about bullet points. I've been using them since grade whatever. But, okay, have you ever actually had a discussion about bullet points? Do you know another way of using them? Are bullet points really right for you? Is there another technique you could be using instead of bullet points? And what is the point of them anyway when it comes to ad-libs? This is where we reveal all on Get a Better Broadcast Podcast and Voice over Voice. Usually what appears to be a spontaneous ad-lib then has actually been prepared to a certain extent. We were talking about this yesterday. I mean, when I say prepared, it could be recently as a moment before we speak, or it could be as long ago as after several hours of research. But the usual and best way to prepare is with a few notes. It's what some people I've heard call an invisible script, which I thought was quite interesting, just having some notes. So that may be a keyword or a couple of keywords, a phrase maybe, something you just thought of, or a series of thought-out backup bullet points. I mean, as you may know, I read the news for the BBC, and if I'm sometimes doing a headline sequence and I may be finishing off with a funny story, as often is traditional, and I know or suspect that the presenter may be coming to me with a line, a gag, a question, a comment about that final story that I've read, it's going to put me in a stronger position, isn't it? Just to jot down a couple of keywords or phrases that I can use as a retort, as a comeback, maybe as a funny line or joke or a quip. Yeah, so I'm fully prepared, rather than mumbling and stumbling my way when he asks me a question or when she sets an example for me to come up with. Say, Peter, what about so-and-so, so-and-so? Yeah, I've already got something prepared. And when I say prepared, as I say, that could just been maybe 10 or 20 seconds before they came to me, before they played that news jingle. So what are some of the benefits of using bullets? Well, as I say, it gives structure to your podcast or broadcast. And you can have bullets, you can have then sub-bullets if necessary. And certainly for a podcast, it could include things like the welcome, the topic, introduction, why people should listen, what's going to be the benefit, the sponsor credit, the guest intro, the show close. Show close? Yeah, the thanks, the review request, where to find you, the call to action, that kind of thing. And it also makes sure you have covered everything you want to. If you've thought for a few minutes or an hour or so about what's going to be going in your bullet points, then you're more likely to be covering that kind of information in the bulk of the broadcast, in the main part of the podcast, and everything flows in the right order. You're not forcing the listener to rewind or to remember. And then when you're using bullet points, it shows you're cool, calm, collected and confident. And what does that lead to? Heck, it leads to a better voice, and also cuts down on the editing time, doesn't it? Because you're making fewer mistakes, because you've spent a few minutes planning things in advance. Now, these notes that we're talking about that will be put into the bullet points, they could be trigger words, could be a list of phrases, kind of topic starters or key points, or as I often do, a tree diagram of conversational branches. Yeah, sometimes not bullet points at all. Certainly when I was doing a lot of interviews on the radio, I would create a tree diagram or a spider diagram, whichever word you want to use. They are slightly different, where you start off in the middle of your page with a key point, and then you've got various branches coming off, and then you've got sub-branches or twigs, if you like, coming off those different strands of information or question areas that you're going to be talking to your guest about. And I find these diagrams really useful. It's the kind of thing I was taught when I was revising for school, for exams at school, because they're easier for me personally to hold in my mind. I can picture what topics and subtopics feed off each other, and at a glance I can move from one area to another rather than look down a series of notes to see a new question area to probe. Making such lists clear, maybe with a keyword in bold, will help you keep engagement with your co-host or with your guest, will help you react more flexibly, more naturally, as you take a glance at your notes rather than read them word for word. And that means that you listen more and you react more rather than simply asking the next question on the list. And that, of course, makes for a much more authentic listen and a more confident presentation. And remember what confidence does to your voice? Yeah, it makes you sound better, shows people your personality rather than your ability to read words off a page, and reinforces that you're speaking from the heart. Tomorrow, the episode is entitled Giving Good Libbing, as we talk a little bit more about ad-libbing on Get a Better Broadcast podcast and Voice Over Voice. From London, I'm Peter Stewart.